So welcome everyone, happy days are here again. It's a long time coming, it's a brand new review from the Hdmi Productions, and today we're looking at the mClassic by Marseille. Before we get into it, I want to say a big thank you to all the new subscribers I've got. You know, each and every one counts and makes a difference to me. I've had tons of comments. You know, it really has been quite emotional to see how many people have engaged with the videos. Looking at the amount of views, the amount of time that people have been watching, you know, it really means a lot. You know, I'm just an average, regular guy who decided to try his hand at a bit of YouTube just for a laugh to see how it goes, and to see the responses, you know, is so positive. So that's enough of the mushy stuff. Let's get down to the job at hand. Here today we've got the mClassic by Marseille. What on earth is it? Well, from doing a lot of research online, we know Marseille is a producer of high quality HDMI cables that claim to have inbuilt video processors. That is, if you plug them in, it's meant to tidy up the picture, do some anti-aliasing, to deal with color correction, field of vision, things like that. You know, they've been around for a while. You know, the reviews I've seen, you know, mixed reviews. Some people say it was good, some people say it was bad. Anyway, this is a brand new, latest product, and it's specifically designed for games consoles. Originally, I saw this product on Indiegogo or Kickstarter, I forget which one was which. But I saw it, and the claims were bold to say the least. Now, fundamentally, what they're suggesting is this is a similar process to, imagine you had a PC, you update the graphics card on the PC. This is meant to have a similar effect, but for games consoles, whether it's retro consoles, you know, modern gen consoles, or the consoles in the middle, it's meant to improve graphics. I think what appealed to me the most was you don't have to take the consoles apart, you know, fiddle around with all the solder and all that craziness. It's literally a HDMI adapter. You plug that HDMI adapter into the console, your normal HDMI cable then goes from the mClassic to the TV, and all the post-processing goes on in here. They made some particularly big, bold claims about the improvements this would make to the Nintendo Switch in particular, which is why it really came to my attention. I saw some reviews online and I saw them making these bold claims saying, "It's the Switch Pro we've been waiting for." You know, my ears tweaked up. I thought, man, I got to get me a slice of this. Anyway, it went on Indiegogo, I think it was, saw the price, saw the delivery charge to the UK and thought, I ain't paying all that tax and all that fantasy stuff on top of that. No. So I've been waiting very patiently to see if it appeared on Amazon. And lo and behold, last week, boom, it appeared on Amazon. A seller with Prime delivery, $99.99. And I just thought, shut up, take my money. I want to see what this is all about. So I will confess it was a next day delivery, even though it was Prime. I suspect the seller that had bought them had obviously imported them into the UK and put them on Amazon to try and sell out. Well, here it is, it's arrived. It's time to unbox it. So step one, let's have a cheeky look at the box. Starting with the front of the box, I do think it has a rather premium feel. It's got that thick, heavy cardboard, which, you know, it does reek of premium. But I would expect at this sort of price point, you know, it should be very nice. mClassic at the front. Better graphics, better pixels, better gameplay. Game console graphics processor by Marseille. Bold claims immediately out the gate. Let's have a look at the side. Yep, it's a side profile. You've got yourself a QR code. I assume that takes it to the website. Other sides, we've got what's included, which is the mClassic, the USB cable, and the HDMI extender. Now, one of the other things it does claim to do is upscale the video image. So as well as the anti-aliasing, clearing up the picture, making your picture and graphics look so much better, it does also upscale. However, as I have found, there are a few, should we say, caveats to that working, but I'll talk about that a little bit later in the review. On the back, we've got all the consoles it's meant to work with. Basically, it's going to work with any console in existence. However, the more retro you go, the more problems you're going to have with plugging in a HDMI. Because let's be honest, the Super Nintendo ain't got no HDMI port, but I do know there are adapters to give it that sort of feature. So it's got 3 operation modes. We've got the pass-through, which is processing off. I do know from the M cables, which was the previous version of this, there was no pass-through, so you had to have the graphical processing on at all times. This one, you can turn it off and it'll just pass the image straight through, which is awesome. Next one, we got it flashing, or it highlights green, should I say. It's the processing on. It's when the upscale works, the anti-aliasing, the sharpness is on, the color corrections there. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Hint, I was actually fairly impressed with that. And the bottom one is retro mode, which I think turns it from widescreen to standard sort of square box screen. I forgot the dimension off the top of my head, you know, so don't hate on me for that. But it does bring it down, but it still has all the graphical processing features on top. Pretty good. And on the bottom, we've got all the other stuff. Look at all that text. 1 year warranty. Oh, let's hope so. So you've seen the box. It's time to open it and see what's inside. I was prepared for this review and I've already cut the seal here. So let's get this bad boy open. Ooh, there we go. Let's move that to one side. So first thing we're greeted with is the mClassic itself. Ah, look at it showing me up on YouTube. I will not be beaten by some HDMI thing. And here we go, the mClassic itself. Very nice. A little bit of weight to it, so you know it's just not hollow. It's got to have some sort of thing inside it to make those claims true. Let's go further into the box. So, HDMI extender there. We've got ourselves our USB power cable there. Oh, and we've got ourselves our instructions. You know, we can't wait to see those. So with every review, there's got to be that necessary evil, and that necessary evil is looking at that instruction manual. So let's start by having a look at that. So here we go, the contents of it, not included. That's important about the HDMI cable. So one of the things that this will do is if you've got a 1080p output image from your games console, it will upscale it to 4K. But to do that, you're going to need a 4K HDMI cable. Now, that sounds obvious, of course, but however, I think there's a lot of people online that are fooled by that. For example, the HDMI cable that comes as standard with the Switch isn't a 4K HDMI cable, so you can plug it all in. It won't upscale to 4K because the cable, the HDMI cable that comes with the Switch, isn't capable of that. So I'd recommend that if you're going to use this with the Switch, you dig your hand deep into your pocket and buy yourself a 4K HDMI cable. Now we've got the fool's guide at the start to which way round to plug this in. HDMI has to plug into the console, then the cable from the mClassic to the TV, not the other way around. I mean, come on, guys. Plug it all in. It's all there. There we go. Step 2, power it on. So it's a micro USB, not USB-C. You know my feelings about micro USB. It just needs to be laid to rest, but you know, I'll accept it on this particular occasion. Plug it all in, power adapter. However, I think it's a 1 volt battery and 1 volt power drain, so this should work from pretty much any powered USB socket there is. It's not a standard 5 volt one, but it'll run from everywhere. It's minimal, absolutely minimal. We've got the different processing ones here, as already spoke about here. Marseille on here, all this sort of stuff in here. Little help guide there, so troubleshooting. Why am I not getting this? Of course, the 4K it upscales to is 1440p. So you've got to make sure that your monitor or your TV can support that, otherwise you won't necessarily see it. Now, the big caveat that I spoke about recently is this. So depending on what input image it receives, depends on what the output image will be. So I'll leave that up there so you can have a quick look at it, pause it, read it to your heart's content. But, you know, you can see the upscaling is there and some notes there. Leave it there, read it. That's enough reading now. Way too much reading for this review. So let's actually have a look at the product. So starting with the red power cable, it's a standard USB-A to micro USB cable. It's got A and B on it in case you're not sure which end it's meant to plug into. There we go. Let's open it up to see how long it is. I do like the red colour matches the Marseille logo. That's a nice little touch. You don't need me to see any more of that. Next, we've got the HDMI extender. This is a 4K compatible one, otherwise the whole thing wouldn't work. But it's really, really short. Why have they provided this? Well, it's to help you plug this beast into the Nintendo Switch dock. Because of all the stuff they've got around here, you know, what is that? Why on earth have they included that huge keyring thing? That basically stops it fitting into the dock. So you're going to need to use this HDMI to fit it all in. But don't worry, I'll show you all plugged in so you know exactly what to do. Next, let's take a closer look at the mClassic itself. So first things first, it's got the lovely M branding on the front. I do like that, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. The gold and the M, it does stand out. It does, you know, reek of premium. On the side, we've got nothing. On the front, we've got the source there. And this is the end. So that end goes into the console. This end, the HDMI cable to the TV goes. We've got our power source there, which goes in there. On the back, it's the same again. And we've got that toggle switch there. So off. Ooh, stiff, and that changes it to the next one, and up again we'll change it to the other setting there. I like it. What I don't get for the life of me is why on earth they put these massive plastic things on the side. It just makes it inconvenient to put it into the Switch dock, into plug it places. It's just a bit frustrating. I'm trying to run through the technical specs in my head to make sure I've not missed anything. I know one of the big things with these sort of post-processing digital processors that comes to mind is there any lag? Well, no. If you go to the Marseille website, they use video imaging software to detect how much lag there is, and it's almost unnoticeable. I can honestly say from using the device, I didn't notice any lag whatsoever. In terms of the actual mega technical things, I've seen plenty of reviews online where they show you the difference on their screen and all the processing and stuff. And I think it's very difficult to see, for it to actually physically do it justice. So I'm not going to go down that route. If you want the super mega deluxe technical video, Digital Foundry have done a video on it, and it's superb. But I like a lot of the reviews on YouTube, that I've seen, those videos just don't do it justice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through some of my experiences I've had with this already. I'm going to plug it into Nintendo Switch dock so you can see it, and then hopefully I can convey to you, the everyday, regular, normal guy, my honest, genuine opinions on the mClassic. I think it's time, let's get it plugged into Nintendo Switch dock. So here's my Nintendo Switch dock. Yeah, I've got a little sock over it. I highly recommend these little socks. They stop you scratching the screen as you're moving the Switch in and out, in and out, in and out. But let's show you how to plug this bad boy in. So open it up. First things first, if you don't use a HDMI extender, you can plug it in there, but no, you can't, because that big piece of plastic makes it really frustrating. So if you're going to plug this in here, you're going to need your HDMI adapter. So let's get that plugged in. Click. Then let's get our power cable. Let's hopefully we get this plugged in. Boom, like that. Put it through. Close up the dock. Beautiful. So plug that one in. It goes in like that. Then what we do is we plug the power in on the top, which looks a little bit like like that. And there you go. That's the mClassic plugged in. I do think it's quite clever, and I'm sure it's a proper technical design, that the toggle switch on the top, so you can change the processing at a flick of a switch, and it's easily accessible from there. So what are my experiences? I've got a lot of retro consoles, a lot of the classic consoles like the PlayStation Classic, the NES Classic, the Sega Genesis Classic and stuff like that, and I've not used it on that yet. What I will do is I'll probably do a follow-up to this video at some point which talks about my opinions of the mClassic on those classic consoles. However, what I can do is I can talk about my experience of this on the Switch. Where I put the most amount of time into, believe it or not, the most amount of time I've used the mClassic on is the Animal Crossing. I'm a massive Animal Crossing fan. And, I was quite surprised, I was quite impressed by the difference. It's not the case that this is the Emperor's New Clothes and, there's no difference at all. There actually is a difference. It's just very, very subtle. Where did I see the biggest differences? So, first thing I saw was the colour correction. I do think the colour output from the mClassic, it does make it much more rich, much more vibrant, but I think it's a personal preference. Some people will like the old, the colours that are coming out the Switch, but I personally like this new richer post-processing image that's coming out. It is really, really nice. What's the biggest difference you can see? It's the anti-aliasing, the smoothing of those jaggies. If you're just a casual gamer, you probably won't notice a difference, but if you're a bit sad like me and really pay attention to that sort of things, it really does make a difference. I mean, there's a beautiful example of where I'm standing outside the house in Animal Crossing and I've got flowers behind it, and because they're in the background, obviously they're not as sharp as they would be if they're in the foreground. However, you turn the mClassic on, they suddenly become really, really smooth. Another real nice subtle thing is, because I'm a cool dude like that, my Animal Crossing character has got a pair of glasses on. Now, when you don't have the mClassic on, those jaggies, it gives a sort of blurred, sort of jaggy, moving effect in the glasses, and that smooths it right up. The mClassic, I actually think, makes a difference. And do you know how I know that I think it makes a hell of a difference? Is that my girlfriend was able to notice a difference. She's not the most avid gamer. She loves her Animal Crossing, don't get me wrong. But I always think a nice measure is can someone who's not a proper full-on gamer notice the difference? And she can actually see it. So it's not just me making it up. She can see it. I can see it. I was actually blown away. I did genuinely think this was a load of old tut and I was going to have to send it back for a refund. But now I can't live without it. It's always plugged in. It's always on. Highly recommend it based on that. I've tried this on some other games as well. Hyrule Warriors is another one. Now, the difference between the Hyrule Warriors, it's when it's a lot of action going on all at once and it's all fast movement and stuff like that, the noticeable difference for the anti-aliasing and that sort of thing isn't so clear. However, when it slows down or the image is still, you can see it tidies it up really, 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 really well. Some advice for you. Now, it depends how good you are with programming your TVs. Now, the mClassic and the guide recommends pulling down and taking off some of the post-processing that the TV's doing to allow the mClassic to be doing, a lot of the work. I'd mess around with it. I'm not the greatest with messing around with TV settings and things, but you can always play around with that. But I found that whatever setting I had it on previously, I could see the difference straight away without having to mess around with the settings on the TV. From my brief experience of this with the classic consoles, it really depended from game to game about how much effect that it physically had. It's kind of weird, but it makes a lot of sense as well. The worse the video quality of the game is, the more difference it will notice. So, for example, you're not going to bother plugging one of these into an Xbox, One X. You're not going to plug it into PlayStation Pro because it's not going to do anything, because it's already there. The picture qualities are already slick. There's no real need for any anti-aliasing or anything like that. But if you've got a game that's got a lot of jaggies, a lot of like blurred texture images and things like that, this will have a big effect and tidy it all up. So, like I said, I'll do another review at a later date when I probably show you all my classic consoles, and I'll show you the bits and bobs with the mClassic with those. But the little bit that I have tried with it, I have been impressed. Ultimately, what's my opinions on this? Do you need the mClassic? What mileage will you get out of it? Well, these are my opinions. Do you need the mClassic to enjoy the Switch? Absolutely not. The Switch is a phenomenal console and you can live without it. However, if you've got a cheeky $99.99 hanging around, it's burning a hole in your pocket, I can definitely think of worse things you can invest in. For me, now I've got it, paid for, it's all good, I wouldn't go without it. I wouldn't send it back. I'm more than happy with it. What's the mileage you're going to get out of it? I think it depends on how sensitive you are to graphics. If you're, a gamer that's not bothered by the graphics or the jaggies or that sort of thing, you're probably not going to notice a big difference. But however, if you really pay attention to what's going on and you look for the differences, you will notice it. The color difference, you'll notice straight away. Yeah, everybody will notice that. But in terms of the jaggies, the anti-aliasing, that sort of thing, it depends if you're susceptible to it. Me, I can see it. My girlfriend can see it as well, which is, speaks a lot. A non-gamer being able to spot the difference is a significant thing. If you're a retro gamer and you use lots of retro game consoles that have got HDMI ports and stuff like that, I would highly recommend it. It tidies up well. For the brief bit I've been playing around with it, it tidies up really, really well. But again, I'll do another review later on where you can see a lot more of that in detail. I think your biggest problem here is getting hold of one. So I ordered it Tuesday, came on Friday, it's now Sunday. I re-looked on Amazon and it's out of stock again. So I think this is going to be one of those chasing the the unicorn thing to try and find. You can get it from Marseille's website online. However, it's at that price point where you may attract import tax if you're in the UK. If you're in America, you've not got nothing to worry about, but if you're importing it across, you might have to do that. It worked out a lot cheaper for me to get it from Amazon than it would have done for me to import it. My final review of the mClassic by Marseille is a 1.5 thumbs up. Why is it not 2 thumbs up? I think it's going to depend on you as a person to whether it's a 2 thumbs up. For me personally, it's 2 thumbs up, but I do know that some people won't be able to see the difference, which is only 1.5 thumbs up. In terms of if you have any questions about the mClassic, please put them in the comments below. I will get and make sure I answer every single question. I know you'll have lots of questions, and I know I'm not showing a lot of gameplay footage, but it's a false economy here because the post-processing is then being recorded on a camera, which is then going through more post-processing. It all gets all messed up, so you don't really see it. The people like Digital Foundry are the ones that you want to watch if you want to see that sort of stuff. So with that in mind, can you give this video a big thumbs up? I'd really appreciate it. Any comments you've got, please comment, and please subscribe. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I've gained some extra subscribers, each and every one. It means the absolute world to me. I'm just a regular, everyday, normal guy doing this for a bit of a laugh. I appreciate all your support, all the positive comments. I think I've made a difference to some people. They certainly seem pleased with the reviews and the comments and things like that. So with that in mind, I'll draw the review to an end. Stay out of trouble, look after the people that mean the world to you, and stay safe.